Morning everyone, it's Chris here from Outback Outcasts. Now look, I have just returned from my most recent revival trip and look, I'm still editing the video, but I got to tell you, it didn't really go to plan this time. Having said that, I learned a bit, and part of what I learned is about the revival mechanics toolkit. Now in that first revival we did with the Porsche, I took my own tools with me. We'd headed up north on a family holiday and I was able to bring a lot of that stuff I needed along for the journey, including my Go Box, my mobile toolbox that I use for, when I'm out and about. But this time I flew in, and that forced me to reconsider how I approached the task at hand. And in particular, maybe I have to go out and buy tools, which I needed to then apply to the task. And I think it's probably worthwhile reviewing some of these tools that I bought, because the decisions I made in choosing tools are probably a lot more like the nature and type of decisions that a lot of you are going to use when you go out and choose and buy tools for jobs that you need to do. In particular, if there's a specific job that needs a specific tool, then you might go out and buy that particular tool or a set of those tools and then have them going forward. You're not necessarily going to have them like a professional does in their toolbox on a day-to-day basis. And when you're buying those tools, you're going to look at things like price and quality. And that's exactly what I did when I was out buying tools to support this revival. So let's start with the big tool set that I bought to support the majority of work that I had to do during this revival. I bought the ToolPro 198-piece toolkit. Now, why did I buy that? It was available and it was on special. So given that it was available and on special, and it seemed to have most of the tools I needed, I bought it. It came from Supercheap Auto. I paid around $200 for it. I think the usual price is around $400. It was one of those half-price deals. And look, I got to tell you that overall, my first impressions of this toolkit were very, very positive. I didn't have high expectations, but look, this is coming from someone who's used a wide range of tools across my life. My old man was a professional mechanic, ran his own business, and his toolbox is full of the absolute best quality tools, the Gucci of tools. He uses Hazard, Star Willy, Snap-on, all the good stuff. Personally, I am not a professional mechanic, but I do a fair bit of work on a number of cars. And, I like a wide range of reasonable quality tools, but I can't afford to pay through the nose for them. So, I use tools that are more like sort of King Chrome, Stanley, that sort of thing for the most part. And even my electric tools, I tend to either buy Ryobi or I'll go to AliExpress and look for good quality stuff there because, I just don't have the money to buy Milwaukee or the best quality stuff. So that's the frame of reference I'm coming at this from when I talk about the 198-piece ToolPro toolkit. I have to say, for $200, I wasn't expecting a great deal. The set comes with 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch sockets and ratchets. It comes with short extensions for each one. And by short, I mean I think they're, 75 mil, 3 inch. It comes with a tool bit driver and a bunch of driver bits in Torx, Phillips, and flat. A couple of square bits and a few things like that. They're common things that you'd see in these sorts of toolkits. It also comes with needle nose pliers, lineman pliers, and a set of side cutters or nippers. It has a few impact sockets in it, has a couple of spark plug sockets in it, and it has a handful, and I mean a handful, of combination wrenches. So it only went up, I think, to 12 millimeter in metric, and I think might have been 9/16 in imperial. Now, the pros. The tools themselves are actually pretty good quality. Now, my Go Box has TTI Daytona tools, I think. And, that kit I bought again because I thought it was good value and it came with a good selection of tools at the time. I might review that one another time. But compared to the TTI Daytona tools, the ToolPro tools are better. There's no question. They are a better quality ratchet. And that's where I think you really see the quality. You feel it in the mechanism of the ratchet. For me, cheap ratchets are something I just really do struggle to use. If I'm going to splurge, I'll splurge on a ratchet because, nasty sockets. I mean, how often do you really break a socket? And if they fit, then, near enough is good enough, right? But a ratchet, I mean, I need my ratchets to work nicely. I need them to have a nice fine action and be robust and stand up to abuse. And look, I get the sense that these TTI ratchets will do that. They are pretty good quality overall, and I had no issues at all using them. And look, in particular, the little 1/4 inch ratchet, I put it under a fair bit of pressure, using it probably in ways that it probably shouldn't have been used for. Yeah, it was fine. It worked really, really well. Now, all the other tools I think were great quality too, and reflected sort of that mid-range value quality sort of product. I would certainly equate it to a King Chrome level of quality and higher than a lot of those really cheap and nasty tools. They are not cheap and nasty tools. They're actually pretty good. Would I recommend it? 100% yes. However, in recommending it, I would point this out. You need more spanners. You need more wrenches. Topping out at 12 millimeters and 9/16 is just not good enough. If you're going to give us spanners that at least go to 17 mil, preferably 19 mil. And in Imperial, you'd sort of ideally want them to go to 3/4 at the very least, and ideally even a little bigger than that. Now, they didn't, which means if you buy this toolkit, you're going to have to buy a set of spanners as well. And the other thing it's missing is screwdrivers. It's got no screwdrivers. It's got a bit driver, but we all know that they're not really going to cut it. And so you're going to have to buy yourself a set of screwdrivers as a minimum, and you're going to have to buy yourself a proper set of spanners as a minimum. So if you allow for that when you buy the tools, great. Factor that into the bargain. For me, this $400+ toolkit was on sale for around $200. It was a no-brainer, and I'm very, very glad I bought it. It was fabulous. Now, the other thing I had to add to the toolkit were additional extensions. It only comes with, for the sockets, short extensions for the 1/4 inch, 3/8, and 1/2 inch ratchets. So you're going to need to buy additional extensions, and thankfully, Supercheap do have a range of them. And I bought a set of 3 for like less than $20, and that was, I think, 150 mil extensions for 3/8, 1/4 inch, and 1/2 inch. And frankly, I used almost all of them on this trip, so I'm really glad I bought those. I also bought a cheap set, like the cheapest possible set of Supercheap screwdrivers that they had available. They were predictably inexpensive, cheap and nasty, but they did the job, and frankly, I've used worse. So yeah, for the money, I definitely would recommend those as well. Now, the next tool I used at length on this trip was the Mechpro 1500 kilogram floor jack. Now, I picked this up at Repco, and it again was on special. I think it was about $52 or something like that. Look, it's a cheap, inexpensive hydraulic floor jack. It has a limited push height. It is rated to 1500 kilograms, which is probably the bare minimum any of us would ever want from a floor jack. It, has very, very basic wheels. It's got a handle. But look, I have to say, it did the job. It comes with an extendable handle, which is something you don't often see on these really cheap jacks. You get a shorter handle that's, maybe 400 mil long or something like that, with a crimped end to operate the check valve on the jack. This one has that, but it also then has a piece of extension that can go into that so that you can reach it under a car a long way. And if you hook it into the jack, you can actually push the jack in and out. And I think that's a pretty good feature, in particular for a jack that was this price. So yeah, would I recommend it for $50? Sure. Would I recommend it as your sort of everyday go-to jack in the workshop? No, I wouldn't. It's very, very basic, limited height. You're going to struggle, for example, to get it under low cars. And on some cars, you're going to struggle to get it to push high enough to actually lift the car off the ground, certainly any distance. And so what you're going to end up doing is, jacking it, propping it, putting more spaces under it or between the jack and the car, whatever. And you're going to have to do that multiple times to get the car any sort of reasonable height. And that creates some risk issues. The other downside, of course, with these cheap jacks is they've got a very, very small lift pad. And that can create some challenges too, in terms of damaging whatever it is you're lifting, or making it difficult to find a spacer that will sustain the pressure that you need to push. Yeah, but again, for $50 and maybe for a jack that you just have laying around the shed for, that other little job you need to do, yeah, it'll do the job. Or in a pinch like me, if you're, struggling and you need a jack on the road, absolutely. For $50, thumbs up. Now, the next tool I relied pretty heavily on during the trip was the 3,000 kilogram ToolPro jack stands. And these, again, you'll look at this and go, Chris, why'd you buy those? I think I bought those. They were the cheapest jack stands in Supercheap when I got there. And that was, cheaper than those nasty sort of welded pin ones, which I don't really like. I find them sort of rather concerning to get underneath on a car because they don't seem to have a great deal of support at the bottom. But look, this is a really, really good set of jack stands. I paid, I think, $55 for them. And like I said, that was the cheapest price for any jack stands in Supercheap when I went to buy them. Indeed, Repco didn't have a cheaper set either. And you know what? They were a typical pattern style, lever jack stand. They work the same as the other lever jack stands I've used. They are now the heaviest duty set of jack stands I have in my shed because I've never bought a 3,000 kilo set of jack stands. I've never felt I needed something that beefy, but yeah, now I do. And I think the only downside with them is how big they are when they're not extended. I mean, with a jack stand, ideally, it needs to be low enough to get under the car once you've jacked it up pretty easily, and then raise it up to the height you want and then lower the car down onto it. Well, these jack stands are quite high, like very high to start with. And, it makes it quite difficult to get the car, especially when you're working with a very, very small budget floor jack, as I was. It makes it very difficult to get the jack stand under the car, even at its lowest setting. So that's my only knock on them. But honestly, if you're working in your shed and you've got a decent floor jack, that's probably not going to be an issue for you unless you can conceive of a situation where you kind of need your jack stand to be at a lower height than this can be in its lowest setting, because they are a big jack stand. But look, they're well made, good quality, and look, for the price I paid, I'm over the moon. I'm going to keep these and use them all the time now in my workshop because I think I'll get a lot of use out of them. And look, if you need a heavy duty set of jack stands, ToolPro 3,000 kilo jack stand, thumbs up. Definitely give that the thumbs up too. Now, the next tool I'd like to review is the Yee-ha, I think it is, Yihua, dual soldering iron and heat gun tool, which is a tool I bought specifically to do some electrical work on my revival project this time around. Now, look, I'm not fabulous at soldering and I'm not an electrical genius. I don't use soldering irons that often, but when I do, I appreciate a few things in a soldering iron. One of those things is being able to set the heat finely. For me, it's no good to just plug a soldering iron into the wall and it gets hot. You don't know how hot it is, especially when you're working on electronics. You kind of need to have some sense as to how hot your soldering iron is getting. And in particular, if you're working with a specific type of solder, which works in a certain heat range, just having a soldering iron you can plug into the wall doesn't work. So I need something that's got some heat control. And also, generally when I'm soldering, I am also involved in some way, shape or form in heat shrinking stuff as well. And it's great to have that functionality in the same unit. And when you can pick the unit up for this price, as I did, I think I paid about $90 for it, then it's definitely worthwhile. If you go to J-Car or something and look at equivalent quality soldering stations, they're going to set you back between $150 and $300. This one, now I was able to buy it from one of those sort of dodgy retailers out on the road. But look, I know, having gone back and checked, that you can buy these for even less than $90 on AliExpress or on eBay. And for that price, look, I don't think you can do better. This is a great little unit, comes with the soldering iron and a bunch of tips. It also comes with that heat gun, which has a bunch of tips, fine tips, broader tips for fine work or more comprehensive sort of work with your heat gun. And I found it to be great for soldering. And sort of the general work that I was doing, it did everything I asked of it and more. And it did it well. I think, I've used good quality soldering irons. Again, though, I'm way, way far away from being an expert on soldering. It's one of my weaker areas. But, again, I could tell the difference between a good quality tool and a crappy tool, and this one isn't bad at all. And for the money, it's fabulous quality. So if you're looking for a good value soldering station, jump onto AliExpress or eBay and buy one of these. Absolutely recommended. So there were other tools that I needed during this revival, but those were the core tools that I found I got use out of. And look, every single one of them recommended for the price. Again, though, what I was doing was not sort of being strategic about this in terms of, identifying every tool and min-maxing. I was in a bit of a hurry. And what I really think I was looking for were the tools that were on special that I really needed and that were available at the time. And this is just what I happened to stumble on. And this time I got lucky with good quality tools at an affordable price. Hopefully you get something out of this. I'm Chris from Outback Outcasts, and I'll see you next time.